If you live in Alaska, or maybe you live in another northern state that gets a lot of snow during the winter, then chances are you've probably seen a cross country skier or you've done the sport yourself. I personally have been skiing for about 10 years now, and I was on the high school ski team, and I was also a cross country ski coach for the Saltesha Youth Ski Program in my community. Nordic skiing is a very prevalent sport in our communities here in Alaska and has a long and rich history that leads up to where we are today, and it spans across almost all the northern regions of the globe. With that stated, today I would like to talk about the origins of Nordic skiing, its evolution throughout time, and also the modern developments of the ski that brought us today's recreational and competitive skiing. So, who invented skiing? This may seem like an easy question to answer. I'm sure a lot of countries have this claim to fame, but the origins of skiing are still up for debate. Some of the first things that we can find in history about skiing are some ski fragments that are found in peat bogs in Russia, Norway, Finland, and Sweden. Ski fragments that are dated back and carbon dated back to about 8,000 to 7,000 BC. That's about 10,000 years prior to us. There's also a primitive cave drawing or a rock carving at the rock carvings of Alta in Norway, and one of them it depicts a man on some skis holding a bow and an arrow, which dates back to about 1000 BC. According to Olympic.org, some of the earliest Norwegians used skis as a method of communication and also survival, because they had to get over feet of all this snow. So they had to get through all this deep snow during these long winter months, and they had to hunt and trap and keep in communication with one another. So, of course, inventing a ski would make some sense. According to Olympic.org, the word ski comes from the Old Norse word skid, which means a split length of wood. Skiing was also so important to the Old Norse, to the Old Norwegians, that the Old Norse language even has a phrase that says to travel, move fast on skis. There was also the Lul Sami, which was a Norwegian and Swedish language, which had a word for ski, which was sabak, and the word for skis, plural, was sabega. There was even a Lul Sami verb that dates back to maybe 10,000 years prior to us, as old as those ski fragments I mentioned earlier, which is quigat, which means to ski. And I probably just butchered that, I'm sorry. So now that we've gone over the origins of Nordic skiing, I'd like to move on to how it evolved over time. So you might be asking yourself now, how did skiing go from wood planks and leather boots to people racing at the Olympics and super suits? That rhymed. Well, I can tell you that it took a really long time. As I mentioned earlier, the first skis were used for hunting and trapping and communication. So mainly survival purposes. And you just strap your boot in, or whichever boot you had, you just get in it like a snowshoe and you shuffle across the snow. After a while, though, a toe strap and heel strap were made to allow the skier to pick up their feet and have a kick and glide motion instead of this really slow shuffling motion. Some early skis were found to also have an asymmetrical shape, where one ski would be shorter and it would be the kicker. It would have animal fur or animal hide, and the other ski would be longer, it'd be the gliding ski, and it would have animal fat or animal barb, which is some of the first known wax, which made gliding across the snow a lot easier. And as skiing developed, people naturally wanted to race one another. A couple of great examples of races are the Birkenbinder, a 54-kilometer race with a great backstory, and of course, the Olympic Winter Games for Nordic skiing. So the first skiing competitions were held with prizes for the Norwegian military in the 18th century, and they involved target practice, which is like the biathlons, and also 2-kilometer races with like really heavy backpacks that they had to do in under about 15 minutes. The Olympics also introduced cross-country eventually as an official sport, with cross-country skiing for men racing in 1924 and women in 1952. Classic, however, was the only technique at this time. Skating had been seen throughout the early 20th century, but hadn't really taken off until the late 20th century, according to skiinghistory.org, around the 1980s. But I'll touch base on that later. Some of the main developments that were made in skiing were why it evolved over time. And I'd like to talk a bit about the modern improvements of the ski today. So the Nordic ski world, as I mentioned earlier, was kind of turned on its head by this skating technique. And some really great developments were made to the ski that made it much faster for racers. So the bindings in the ski design changed. The ski became more aerodynamic and had a sleeker shape for racers to go faster. Leather boots had gone away because now we had like carbon fiber / like composite / like plastic mix boots, like now the leather boot is too heavy, it's clunky, it doesn't work anymore, and this boot was much faster for racers and much lighter. And because of this new boot, during the 1970s, a new binding came out called NNN. This is the current standard of binding. So instead of a heel strap and a toe strap or 3 pins or anything like that, it had one clip at the toe of the boot instead of multiple clips, allowing for like almost infinite motion for these skiers. Modern ski wax was also developed to make the skiers go faster. At the 1982 World Cup, skating was used. And this was the first time it was really popularized. American skier Bill Koch observed the skate step at a Swedish marathon and decided, hey, this would be way faster than classic. So he learned it, and then he used this at the 1982 World Cup to go on and win the entire race, which is just insane. But it makes sense because classic is much slower than skate. This sparked controversy in the skiing community and introduced a new race called freestyle. This is one of the most popular methods of skiing to this day because it's really easy to teach newer skiers because it's much faster than classic. With these innovations, Nordic skiing steamed forward to what it is today. From international competitions to middle school races, these new techniques and designs are used and taught around the globe today. So now let's do a quick recap of the history of Nordic skiing. It was used as a method of transportation and hunting in the Scandinavian region thousands of years ago. But with time, skiing developed and became faster, which led to recreational competitive skiing becoming a thing. Finally, the developments made and the addition of the new skating technique got us to where we are today. I hope that this speech has maybe sparked your interest, and you might want to learn to ski and create a lifelong exercising habit during the winter. It's a great community to get into, and I love doing it every time the snow flies each year. Thank you.